You're welcome. Okay, so real quickly, Liz was just talking about mutual releases, and actually, I'm doing a meeting here in the office, which anyone is welcome to attend. Our meetings are open to everyone, but on bulletproofing your transactions, right? How to keep those together. So here are the statistics. Typically, this time of year, we have a 30% dropout. Okay, so 30% of your pendings fall apart and don't get to the closing. This year, it's 42.7%. We're up 13% than normal, and 43% of the deals you will write are gonna fall apart. Nothing to do with you. Okay, so sit with that. And there are ways to prevent it. Okay, you will never prevent everything. Okay, you're never going to prevent everything. However, there are lots of ways that you can go about what we call bulletproofing, insulating those transactions to kind of warn them ahead of time of what could happen, set expectations, that kind of stuff that could help. Okay, so don't get discouraged. The whole point is you need to be those ones that are the 68 that stay together, right? And you need to work harder than ever to make sure you don't fall in those 42. It is time to get those skills on tap. Okay, it is skill building time to bulletproof your transactions. If there is an entire chapter in the shift book, guys, we are shifting. This book is written about how we succeed through shifting markets, shifting. Chapter 8 is all about bulletproofing your transaction. If you need that information today, go get it there. I have a webinar also that I've recorded, and the recording is on my Coach Julie Downey as well, if you want to listen to that in the car or something. But it's a huge time to step up those skills. Okay, you got to be bulletproofing. That has to be one of the things that you are practicing and working on every single day consistently to keep your deals together. Cool? All right, so that was a super little sidebar. We're going to jump into Geographic Farm today because I did not realize that when my chat box was on, I was just seeing my chats. I wasn't seeing everyone's chat. So you guys were responding and you asked to talk about this and I didn't see them. So we're going to do that today. Okay, so how many of you have built a geographic farm? A neighborhood where you want to go get business. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is a great way to get business. However, this is a strategy for future business. It is very rarely going to build you now business, right? So we know we got to be diverse. We need now business. We need future business. This is future business building, okay? So if that's what your business needs, a geographic farm could be it. There are also other types of farms, okay? So we're just going to talk about the neighborhood farm today, the geographic farm. You could also do a demographic farm where it's like I'm going to target empty nesters or I'm going to target renters, right? Or you could have a organizational farm where you target an organization or a company or the good they're doing, okay? Today we're just going to stay with geographic farm. In your script book, it is on page 69. I'm going to share it now, and mine's going to look slightly different because here's what's the best part about all of this AI stuff. All this work that would have taken you probably 30 minutes before to figure out if you should build a farm in this specific area now takes a copy and a paste. Okay, so let's look at this. The first place you got to start when you're building a farm is find out, is there enough opportunity in the area I'm looking at? Okay, whether it's your neighborhood you live in, if you have a neighborhood you live in that you would also love to sell in, that's truly the best place to start. It's a really easy way to get your foot in the door. Hi, I live in the neighborhood. I'm also a realtor and I'm the expert. Okay, you have to know that there's enough opportunity in the farm area to get the business you need out of it. Okay, the goal we're going for is a 5 to 10% turnover rate per year. All right, if the neighborhood turns over 5 to 10%, that's typically a good place to invest money. Okay, invest money is the second part of this. So this is future business and an investment in money. I will tell you, this is a very good return on your investment. Okay, you get one closing out of a farm and you can fund it for potentially 10 years. Okay, so you got to think of it that way. It should cost you, I always budgeted about $1.50 per household per year to farm. Okay, so that's how I budgeted for myself doing just postcards, right? That's one postcard a month, and then my phone calls. Okay, in the beginning, you have to do more postcards fast. Okay, so here's how this goes. You're going to take the neighborhood, you're going to make sure that it has enough people in it, and then you're going to divide the neighborhood up into sections of 150 people. Okay, 150 people. You can only attack 150 at a time. You are going to do 6 really fast touches. 6 touches quickly. 6 weeks or faster. We're going to go through what all those touches are, what you say, what you do at each one of them as we get through here. But I just want to kind of give you the overall thing. Then, once you've done those 6 touches, you will move them into your database and continue to touch them like you do everyone else. Ideally, your A's and B's, your top most important people in your database. Okay? Then at some point, they will come to you. You're building a long-term relationship with these people, right? Knowing that there's only going to be a handful that will move every year. Here's the second part of knowing your neighborhood. Okay, so I'm kind of jumping around. If you get confused, let me open my chat box because I tend to do this. And if I lose any of you, just holler at me. Okay, so we're going to measure the opportunity. We're going to separate it into groups of 150 people. And you need to know your expenses to market there for 18 months. If you can get one closing in your first 18 months, the farm is done and ready for you for many years to go. And I'm not sure I've ever been with someone that it's taken 18 months to get their first closing, and I've never had anyone not get a closing. Okay? So follow the steps and you'll get there and build yourself a nice little farm. But it does take time. Okay, I'm going to stop share this. So here's the other thing. I put this prompt in here. The even better thing to do is to use this prompt. I'm considering building a geographic farm for my real estate business in whatever neighborhood you want, whatever city it's in. Can you tell me what percentages of the homes sell each year? And if there's a dominant realtor selling the homes currently? Okay, I'm going to stop my share quickly. And how many of you know someone that you feel like owns a neighborhood, and what neighborhood? How many of you know a realtor that owns a neighborhood, and what neighborhood do they own? Yeah, go ahead, put it in the chat box, or Liz, you can come off mute and tell me. That's all right. She's having trouble with mute. I don't even know because I don't have to mute so often. Oh, on audio, far left, your microphone. Anyone know
Thank
of a
you.
neighbor?
I feel like
Yeah.
I hate when I lose my voice. I'm like,
oh, you're good.
Okay. Britton Falls.
Okay.
And there is Teresa Easterday.
You got it. Yeah. Teresa Easterday, Britton Falls, Mike Lyons, Centennial. What else? Yep. Anybody else? Okay. So that's a key part. Now, here's what I'm going to show you. I took that and I put it into Chat GPT. Only because it knows me the best. But here's what it gave me. And I did use Centennial because that's my brother-in-law. He's worked very hard to build that and should be very proud of that farm that he's in and is known a lot as the person that owns Centennial. So let's look at the reality of what owns Centennial means. And actually, okay. So when I went in and asked it, it did exactly. So I did the research first because I wanted to check ChatGPT and see if it was going to be right. So I went in the old school way into the MLS. I pulled the last 5 years of solds, actives, pendeds. I organized it by brokerage, and then I went in and saw how many of them Mike had and how many buyers and sellers he had represented. No, I just did sellers. Sellers he's represented in there in the last 5 years. Okay, then I went back and looked at what the answer was in chat. It was exactly right. Okay, 72 sales per year, approximately 6.7 annual turnover. We said you're going for 5 to 10. Boom, hits it right there. Roughly 1 out of every 15 homes sell every year. Okay. Is there a dominant realtor? It goes right into there. Here's a lot of the realtors. There's Mike Lyons as the #1 realtor in the neighborhood that's you're already competing against. Kind of tells you what he's sold. Okay. So, awesome tool. This is where you can use your AI and have that research done for you in 2 seconds. And let's talk about the reality. Now, if you said there's 60 to 70 homes that sell each year in there, and how many of them would you say Mike probably has every year? Out of 60 to 70, he owns the neighborhood. What would your guess be? I'm going to tell you in a second, but I want to know what you guys think because
15.
15%? Love it. What else? All right, Dan, you got it. 15%. It's 16.4%. Okay, and that's owning it. Owning it. Okay, so here's the big part about that, guys. We're going to round up to 20. If he owns 20% of the business in that neighborhood, that means 80% are going to be listed by other brokers. Okay, that's what'll kill your farm, your mindset. As soon as one other agent takes a listing in your farm, you're gonna be like, oh, I've lost it all. No, you own it if you've got 15% of the business, right? And if 75% are selling with other realtors, it does not matter. You're still gonna get the business you need. Okay, so that's a huge aha that you need to pay attention to because you're never going to get the whole neighborhood. And we used to say you should be able to get about 50% of the neighborhood, and you don't even need that much. Look, 16%, and you've got it in the bag. Here's the other great part of that is if you remember, there's also buyers. Okay, so that's only the listings. That's only the listings, right? A lot of those people bought as well. So there is the opportunity for twice as much than just what's selling in there. Okay, so it is worth it to build one of these. Okay, if you're building a business for 5 years in the future, it is worth it to do the math on this and see if you should go ahead and start this now. Okay, now what are you committing to? Okay, what are you committing to? Here's the touches. I'm going to share my screen again, and this is on page 68 going on to 69. All right, so first 6 things. The first thing is going to be a mailer. Then you're going to do a phone call really closely after that mailer, and you're going to tie it to the mailer. Then you're going to send a handwritten note. Then you're going to do another mailer. If you can, door knock or pop by, you want to. If not, another phone call, and then a handwritten note again. Here's how these go, okay? Your mailer, looking for an amazing realtor, I'm your neighbor, nice to meet you, okay? Something like that. People will use their dogs. Hey, if you see me and my dog walking around, right, we're the neighborhood expert. Lots of great creative opportunities on how to introduce yourself to a farm. If you are not... If you do not live in that area, you just say, hey, I'm a realtor. I love to do business in this area and want to become your neighborhood expert. Okay, simple enough. If you have any real estate needs, I want to be your go-to. Okay, your phone call is exactly the same thing. Hi, calling to introduce myself. I'm Julie Downey. I love to sell in this neighborhood and I'm working to be your neighborhood expert. Let me ask, how long have you lived in the neighborhood? Okay. You're just going to talk to them. You're going to ask the 2 questions, 3 questions, and you're going to say, and just curious, when you have a real estate question, who do you go to for that? Great. Well, I would love the opportunity to earn that opportunity to be your person. And if you don't mind, I'll keep in touch with you. Would you like to be on my mailing list? I tend to send a lot of market data and information periodically that should help you keep an eye on things. Okay? Boom, boom, boom. You get them on your mailing list and then you touch them forever. Okay? What if they don't pick up? You leave a voicemail. Hi, Julie Downey, calling to introduce myself. I live in your neighborhood expert, whatever it is. And then you're going to follow up with a text message after that. Hi, it's Julie Downey, just left you a voicemail, wanted to introduce myself, da-da-da-da-da. Okay? We got it, real easy. They're either going to pick up or they're not. We don't care. Either way, we want them to hear our voice. We want them to see our name. And then we're going to send a handwritten note, regardless of if we talk to them or not. Okay? If we talk to them, the handwritten note is, it was so great talking with you on the phone today. Wanted to put a few cards in the mail and, talk about something you might have discussed with them. Okay? If you didn't talk to them, does not matter. Handwritten note. Hey, I left you a message, sent you a text, wanted to introduce myself, thought I'd drop a few cards in the mail. I'll keep in touch. Okay? The handwritten note is that personal touch. Now think about that. If someone had a mailer in your inbox, you'd heard their voice, you'd gotten a handwritten note from them, you'd be like, gosh, this person's nice, right? Otherwise, they're just sending you mailers and you're just like, oh, it's just coming each month, right? This shows you're working to build a more personal relationship with them. You're not just there to cold call them, right? You really want to be part of their life and part of their journey and be their go-to agent. And what's that look like? It looks like some extra care, right? Okay, and this is spread out, right, over a few weeks. So it's like one this week. You have 150 to get to, right? So you're going to do all your mailers and you're going to start hammering through them. It might take you 3 weeks to contact 50 a week to get through everybody and do your handwritten notes. My cadence was I was writing my notes at the same time as making my calls, okay? And if you're now it'd be super easy with iPads and everything, but you can literally write your note and print note cards. So all you have to do is just fold them and sign them or put their names on it, and they match your pen really nicely now. So anyways, I just used to have stacks of cards already written. If I didn't talk to them, and then I'd just throw their name on the top, throw some cards in, close it, and I'd address it while I was talking to them. So I could kind of do two things at once, or while I was leaving my voicemail, right? I was addressing the note at the same time. So by the time I got done with the call session, the notes were sitting there ready to go. Okay. And stamps were on, return address labels were on, all that kind of stuff, just sitting there always waiting for me for when I got to my lead generation time. Okay. So there you go. There's your handwritten note. And then you're just going to do it one more time. Okay. You're going to send a second mailer. Maybe it's some information about the neighborhood. That's what I do. The top 5 most important statistics about this neighborhood, or what are the 5 reasons that buyers like to look in your neighborhood to invest. Okay, send something important to them, something of value to them. And then you're going to call again. Hey, it's Julie. Just want to make sure you saw that cool mailer I put out there. If you have any questions about what's happening in the market, I'm here. Call me anytime. Boom, on to the next. Okay. So after you've done that twice, right? Called them, maybe sent a voicemail. Hey, let me know if you had any questions about what's happening in the neighborhood, or if you see any houses come on you want to know something about, right? Just be there for them. Be there for them. You're not asking to sell their house. You're not asking to represent them as a buyer, right? You're just asking to be in their world when they have questions about real estate. Cool? Okay, at the end of that, you should know now, are they engaging with me? Did they respond to any text messages saying, thanks, that's so nice, we don't need anything right now, right? No. Did they respond to my voicemail? No. Okay, so I'm just going to rate them an F. I went through this, they had no response, they're an F, and I'm going to push them to the bottom. If I talked to them and they had a realtor, great. If I had no opportunity, they're going to go away. Disappear. Okay. If they, are a potential, would like to be in my world, great. I'm going to now move them to my database, and they're going to get either an A and B touch or a C through F touch, depending on how the conversation went, how the engagement was. Okay, if all they did was text back and just say, hey, da-da-da-da, and I said, great, good to know. I'm here for any questions you have. I'll keep in touch. I always ended everything with, I'll keep in touch, because I'm giving myself the permission to do that. But don't say it if you're not gonna, okay? So I had a cadence, remember? Consistency. I knew I still need so many people to call 3 months from now. And I'm just building my list for then, right? The easiest part. Hey, I'll keep in touch because now they're going on the list for then. Okay? But always set yourself up for that future contact that you will be back with them. You'll be watching the market. You'll be keeping them updated anytime a house gets lists. Anytime something goes under contract, right? Now you've just given yourself the permission to then call them when that happens. Okay? So now, let's jump into that part. Okay? So now you've built this amazing farm. In this first round, I will say, here's what you should expect. 40% should be able to go into your database. 40%. Okay, so of 150 people, you'll likely end up with about 45 that you will say is an A through an F you've had some sort of engagement with and you put them in there. Important to know because, right, how many aren't going to engage and you're going to get frustrated? 100. Okay, so remember that. More are not going to engage than do, and that's still a win. Okay, because now what happens? Now, 2 months from now, a house goes on the market in the neighborhood. You've already done your introductions. That part's done. Now you're just calling to tell them it hit the market. Hey, just wanted to let you know that house on Salem Street just listed this week. It's up for blah, blah, blah. If you have any questions or know anyone that would like to buy it, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to talk you through it. Simple. I'm not asking for anything. I'm not soliciting them for their business, right? I am just giving them information because I'm the neighborhood expert. Okay? So then you use those listings in the farm, whether they're yours or someone else's, and use them as the opportunity to now call all these people again with some great knowledge. Okay? This is why it has to continue for 18 months. Okay? Here's what I found. It's a 3-month turnaround. Less than 3 months you can have a listing in your farm if you do a door knock. If you actually walk around the neighborhood and introduce yourself after your first mailer and call. Okay, if you do it the first time, you lose some steam because they don't recognize you. It needs to be in your second round if you can pop by and leave a door hanger on the thing. Hey, stop by to introduce myself. Here's my contact stuff, right? That takes you to about 3 months, you'll have a listing in that neighborhood, okay? If you don't do that part, it may take you 6 to 9 months because now you just need more validity and more opportunities to talk to them first before you build that relationship. Okay? So let's see. What am I missing? All right, I'm going to open up the chat box here. Why don't you guys send me questions you have about Geographic Farm?
What did you say the number was on what you're spending per household? Was it for the every time you send something or for the year?
The year.
And what
the
was
year?
That number?
Well, no. Sorry, no. Per month.
Okay,
yes.
Because I was saying, boy,
so
stamps are
yeah.
Sorry.
No, 2 mailers per month in the first couple weeks. Then you spread it out to 1 mailer a month for the next 12.
Oh.
Okay, so you're going to do 2 mailers quickly. So they'll get 3 mailers probably in the first 2 months. That's your biggest budget in this. Okay? And then your 12 months after. Good question. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, what else? And then remember, what's your average commission on a house, right? Now it's $7,000 to $8,000 typically. And think about how far $7,000 to $8,000 can go. If you're doing 150 people a month, 12 months, that's $1,800 if you just said they were each $1. $1,800. If you got an $8,000 commission, look at how many years that sets you up to continue to do this business and continue to touch these people just off of 1 closing. Okay? It's good business, but it's not now business. So do not set up a geographical farm. Don't leave this call and say, I'm going to go build a farm today if you haven't called your sphere, right? And if you don't have money to invest yet, go find some closings and then make sure this isn't taking away from your sphere business, right? It's only adding to your sphere business and helping you build the sphere you need. This is a great opportunity if you don't have a strong sphere to go meet people in an area and bring them into your sphere. Okay, awesome. What other questions? Okay, I love it. So I'm going to leave the chat box open because I want to know what you need help with. So we will likely go to bulletproofing because with the number of transactions that are falling apart, we probably need to work on our scripting around bulletproofing. However, if there's other things you need, throw them in the chat box. If you have some objections you're running up against, if you're struggling with pricing, right? If you're running into the same thing over and over, if you're just wanting to find business, go ahead and throw that in there. And then the recordings are always available afterwards. So if you missed something, if you want to hear it again, go to my CoachJulieDowney.com page, and you can find all the recordings of the What Would You Say calls. Remember, that's the Dave Matthews song. What would you say? All right. And I'll stick around for questions, comments, or what you want to know. All right. See you next week, everybody. You get 4 minutes back.
One question
Yes,
about mutual release. I had it where I had the seller and the buyer, like 2 days before close, says, my ex-husband sent me a letter and I will not be receiving alimony anymore. Mm-hmm. And so that's half of my income. I lose my financing, and there goes the deal. Am I allowed to ask for that letter? I mean, how do I know that's for real?
Oh, yeah. Great question. Yes, you can absolutely ask for proof. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the lender should be able to tell you that's likely who's now declined the loan, right? So the lender should be able to tell you now, because we've lost the alimony, we can no longer provide the loan to purchase the home.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Totally fair.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm running to a meeting. See you next week.
See ya. How do you determine how many tours a property has taken? Oh, how many showings? Stephen, is that what you're asking? Okay, great question. And that is going to be in your market insights. So you need to go to your showing service. In Indianapolis, we are Broker Bay or Supra. We're Supra. Same thing, different name. I'll share it with you, but it's in the top line. Everything you need, typically for me, is on this first one. Okay, so all your data is in the 2 boxes to the right. So the property access is where you want to be. And then you have broker insights, I think, and analytics on the left. It's going to be really slow because you're all on here with me. Okay, so here we've got market showing insights. Okay, so this is one we talked about last week. This is the one that has the how many showings per price point. So this is $10,000 increments from 200 to 500,000 in the last week. Where have the showings been falling, right? So you can see it's averaging 3 showings per listing between 480 and 489. Okay, that's helpful. It's helpful for buyers to see what kind of competition they might be up against in their tiny little price point or their larger price point. It's also helpful for sellers to determine if we're looking at a range, where do we want to be where the most buyers are, right? So that might be how you tuck them down to 289.9 versus 290 because they'll get more buyer traffic at just 289.9. Great tool. Then the second one is the analytics and the market trends. And then I'll expand this for you because this is not how yours looks probably, because I've got mine smaller. That's probably how yours shows up. And these are the important ones. So what I have on mine is watching 3 different areas: Hamilton County, Marion County, and Boone County. So you can see each has their separate line down here, and each has their separate section. So when I'm looking at average showings before sold or leased, It's 1.7 in Hamilton, 1.1 in Marion, and 1.3 showings to sold. If you're selling in any one of those areas and have more than 2 showings, you're overpriced if you don't have an offer yet. That's what that's telling us. But then the average days on the market is a little bit longer. Okay, so it might be taking longer to get that 1 to 2 showings. Okay, so that's what you can learn from that. Is that what you wanted? I lost my chat box, so hopefully that was it. All right, you guys, it's 9 o'clock. I will see you next week. Come back with other questions and comments and everything. Yep, you got it. Happy to run through that stuff, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye, everybody.